Well, the BJP always talks about its double-engine Sarkar model, but the same government at both the centre of state will lead to smooth functioning. That's what the claim is. But the Belagavi border dispute has tested this claim by the ruling party. The Maharashtra and Karnataka governments are at loggerheads over the Belagavi issue. Now, this is an issue which has been going on since 1956. And these ruptures keep emerging. The difference this time is that there is a BJP government in Karnataka, a BJP-backed government in Maharashtra, and a BJP-led government in the centre. So why have we seen a constant escalation? Now, there's been a war of words between Karnataka Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai and the Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis, and that hasn't stopped them from clashing. The issue started with comments made by Bommai in November. He claimed that villages in the Jat Tehsil of Sangli were a part of Karnataka, and since then there has been an escalation. There's been vandalizing of buses coming in from Maharashtra to Karnataka. The State Transport Corporation in Maharashtra stopped buses for a few days. Those have resumed this morning. Now, to get the latest, I'm going across to Neha, my colleague, who's joining us from Kolhapur, which was actually the center of some of that strife. Neha, tell us what happened there and what the latest is.
Yes, you know, the latest, in fact, is that as the buses between both states, Karnataka and Maharashtra, continue to remain suspended, several people who need to travel between both the states continue to remain stranded. In fact, several passengers that we spoke to earlier who weren't able to get a bus even till the border, in fact, are now having to resort to taking these private cabs. And what's, in fact, you know, rather unfortunate here is that they are being fleeced left, right and centre. We spoke to a few people earlier from this very cab who went on to say that what they would ideally pay on a daily basis of about 50 or 60 rupees, they're today having to shell out nearly about 200 to 300 almost. And you know, of course, how long, the uncertainty is what is most daunting for these people over here, because they don't really know how long the buses are going to remain suspended, as a result of which, you know, with no other option, they're having to resort to these private cabs. We're going to try and quickly speak to the driver of, you know, this private cab over here and understand from him, you know, how his day has really been today ferrying passengers. भैया आप बता सकते हैं कि अभी ये बसेस रोका है, इससे तो लोग को बहुत ज़्यादा दिक्कत हो रहा है यहाँ पे?
वो टीवी पर दिखाया बस कम बंद है कर को, इसी वजह से वो नहीं आ रहे
जी। तो भैया आप बताइए, मतलब आप हर रोज कहाँ से, मतलब आप निपटनी से आते हैं, लेकिन आज आप कोल्हापुर आए हैं?
आज ही आए हैं
जी जी जी। यहाँ पे बसेस नहीं है तो यहाँ पे बहुत सारे लोग हैं जो वापस जाना चाहते हैं, इसीलिए आप आए हैं? जी बोलिए।
सिक्स सर्विस कर रहे हैं हम, इधर गाड़ी नहीं है लोगों को आने जाने के लिए, इस वास्ते हम गाड़ी लेके आए।
जी जी। तो भैया हर रोज आप बताइए कि मतलब हर रोज आपका कितना ऐसे मतलब आप ट्रिप्स करते हैं कि आज ही आप लोग आए?
कल से चालू है मैडम, कल दोपहर से चालू है
जी।
आज एक दूसरा ट्रिप्स है, इतना ही, बाकी कुछ नहीं सब।
जी जी। अच्छा सर, आप बता सकते हैं सर, अभी लोगों को बहुत दिक्कत हो रहा है सर यहाँ पे, मतलब क्योंकि बसेस रोके गए हैं।
ये बस तो चालू होना चाहिए, हमेशा के लिए अच्छा होना चाहिए।
वो बस उसकी
ये सरकार ने तो अच्छा करना चाहिए, कर्नाटक सरकार ने, नहीं तो प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगा।
ओके ठीक है। Well, you know, you heard there from the people who are ferrying, from the drivers who are ferrying the passengers, as well as from a passenger itself, saying that unless the buses really start between both the states, there is going to be quite some inconvenience there. But the bigger question about, you know, if you begin the buses again, then it becomes a question of law and order also. We've seen over the past 2 to 3 days now how, you know, things have been a little tense at the border, where there have been instances of stone pelting, where there have been instances of buses being blackened, stopped, passengers, in fact, you know, being inconvenienced. We'll really have to wait and see, even as Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai and Maharashtra Chief Minister, in fact, Eknath Shinde, have spoken, whether they come out with an amicable solution over here to restart these buses, that remains to be seen.
Right, thank you. Thank you for that report, Neha, with that fantastic ground report from the Kolhapur bus stand, where the lack of buses has actually given drivers there an opportunity to make some money. But if you notice, one of the people she interviewed said, "Ye sab politics hai." And that's really truer words couldn't have been said. Thank you for that, Neha. So the matter is actually in court. And that's important to remember. This is a matter that is in court, which both the states are fighting. Why has this spilled over into the ground? Naveen Chomal, lawyer, is joining me on the show. I'm speaking with Brijesh Kalappa, leader Aam Aadmi Party and senior advocate, and Madhavan Narayanan, senior journalist and economist, joining us now on the show. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for speaking with us. Mr. Kalappa, now the storyline or the timeline of this entire latest conflagration seems to be when Mr. Basavaraj Bommai talked about these villages in the Sangli district. Why has he done that? Do you think that was an unnecessary sort of match which was lit?
No, I think, see, Tamanna, let's be very clear. There are elections due in Karnataka in the month of April, right? So we're very close to those elections, first. Second part is that the BJP in Karnataka, they have an image of being anti-Kannada because they've been supporting Hindi largely. Then the third part is that they've recently set up a Marathi corporation, right? Now, this is an attempt by the BJP Karnataka. You must remember that it's the same party which is in power in Maharashtra, right? Effectively, it's the Shiv Sena, but they're propped up by the BJP itself in Maharashtra. So this is a game in which the two parties, both parties are on the same side, and they are trying to raise the temperature so that the people of Karnataka get a feeling that, look, the BJP is the party which is able to protect our interest insofar as Karnataka is concerned, and they are the only ones who are really standing up for us. Because in a constitutional situation, this is an issue between two states, right? Now, insofar as a state like, say, Uttarakhand, which has come out of Uttar Pradesh, now the language issue is no longer relevant because both speak Hindi.
I want to understand the language issue is still relevant, and what is the issue all about? Why today are we talking in one unified country about territory, and this area is ours and this area is not supposed to be yours? Naveen Chomal, give us some context to why this has become such a political issue right now.
I've got a very detailed answer for that, Tamanna ji, but provided you give me some time to say, though some of you may not agree with me. See, this dispute is going on since 1955-56 or soon after the independence. And when Sanyukta Maharashtra movement was going on in the state of Maharashtra, where Maharashtrians were saying that Belagavi and Nipani should be in Maharashtra, or for Nipani is in Maharashtra only. The reason being cited by Maharashtra is that the large section of population, the demography of Marathi-speaking people, the Maharashtrian. So these people are having their, what you say, cultural ties with the people from Maharashtra state, roti, beti, all the marriages are taking in this part of the state. So if you geographically divide and put it in the state of Karnataka, they got nothing against Karnataka as such. But that particular divide becomes there. And they are not able to easily communicate with the people on this side. Traveling becomes difficult. And so they have been always demanding that let there be a, what you say, consensus by the vote of majority. But, you know, Congress inherited the power from the Britishers. So the policy of divide and rule. So they have all the while been kept the boiler burning. So that is the whole
today,
problem.
Naveen ji, today you have BJP, one minute. Today you have BJP government in Maharashtra, you have BJP government in Karnataka, you have BJP government in centre. So why is this pot still boiling?
Tamanna, yes, Tamanna ji, see, I'll tell you. Today, even if, for example, Mr. Bommai decides that, okay, with a large heart, since the larger population is Marathi, let the Karnataka district, Belagavi district go to Maharashtra. But the same time, anti-BJP parties, Congress and all this SPDI, PDI, PFI, they all will start rioting in the state of Karnataka. That's what they want. It's easier said than done.
So I don't understand. I don't understand the narrative. I don't understand the narrative.
So ultimately, it's a yes.
You understand. You're talking about the large heart. Today I'm talking about law and order. This is an independent area, one unified country. One unified country. People
Who
across
is
the border on
creating the
both
law and
sides
order
of the states
situation
are all
always?
Indians. Look
It
at
the
what is going
Congress.
on.
It is the
Who has
PFI.
to
They are
manage law
raising
and
all
order?
new issues
Who has
right
to
from
manage
the-
law and order? Let me bring in Madhavan
It is the state
Narayanan.
government.
Let me
But
bring in
who is creating the hurdles?
Madhavan
Who is
Narayanan.
creating the hurdles? Kindly see.
No. What are the hurdles? Who is creating these hurdles? And where is the question of this should go there and that should go there? I want to understand if this was an
Who
issue
is
in
creating the
1956. The question is to
situation? It
Madhavan
is the
Narayanan now.
Congress
Mr. Chomal, please wait. Sir,
Yeah.
the question is that if in 1956, when the state's reorganization was taking place and that act was passed, this was when this dispute first began. By 1966, you had a retired Supreme Court backed panel which gave its recommendations, and it has continued to simmer, etc. The original issue was language. Is that still relevant today in 2022 when you have such a massive migration of people across the country who travel for work, who travel for livelihood and speak a variety of languages? I want to understand why and how and if this issue is actually relevant today.
I think, Tamanna, I think your question is relevant from the point of view of the Constitution of the Republic of India, which strives for as much unity and integrity as possible. But however, it must be remembered that the reorganization of states took place on linguistic lines explicitly in 1956. That's what made language a relevant issue. But you are absolutely right, because if you were to start looking at gray areas, then Palghat, which is in Kerala but is full of Tamilians, and Kasaragod is in Kerala, which is full of Konkani people who would rather be in Karnataka, or even I have even right to ask why Goa should be a separate state, because Goa is a separate state because the Portuguese ruled over it, and Puducherry is a separate state because the French were ruling over it. So we are just still living over a combination of the linguistic organization of states and a certain amount of colonial hangover. I also want to point out that Belagavi, which used to be called Belgaum, was actually part of the Bombay presidency during the British Raj, before independence. So in a sense, if the Bombay had sway over that region earlier, then to that extent there's a claim that is legitimate. But even Kashmir, which is now got Pakistan occupied Kashmir on the other side, they have roti-beti relationship even recently on that. They could be different countries. So let's face it, drawing lines is a matter of administrative convenience, but you cannot stretch the point, as you rightly said, where there is right to profession and right to freedom of movement of people as fundamental rights under the Indian Constitution. What we are seeing, Tamanna, which should be observed very closely politically, is that Karnataka is heading for assembly elections, and Shiv Sena, which is now in the opposition in Maharashtra, has always represented Maratha pride. And there was a political party called the Maharashtra Ekikaran Samiti, which probably still exists in Karnataka, which wanted to be part of Karnataka. But the Sangli thing, at least for me, is new, because we didn't know that Karnataka had a counterclaim on some parts of Maharashtra. So
no, and the context is interesting. The context is that these villages are drought hit. They were not getting enough help from the state of Maharashtra, so we will help them and we will bring them into Karnataka.
Yeah, but I think Naveen Chumal, said that basically, Prajesh Kalapa said that because BJP has to do originally RSS philosophy is Hindi, Hindu, Hindustan. Let's be very clear. They keep switching sides from Golwalkar to Savarkar has been a long journey for them, in a way. So they have backpedaled some of the Hindi part of it, because in Maharashtra they have to deal not even talking about Dravida languages of a different family like Tamil. Even within the Sanskrit-based languages, there are tensions between Hindi and Marathi at some level. And Karnataka has a liberal mix of both styles, although technically Kannada is a Dravidian language. So what BJP does, as Rajesh said, is to do a balancing act. It's not as if we are against Kannada, so you make some noises perhaps.
No, so let me say Aarti Sathe
I
is with
do
us.
want to know.
That
Yes.
balancing act and all is fine, but this has gone on too long, Ms. Sathe. This has been going on for close to a month now, at least 2-3 weeks. You know, the chief ministers of both sides are speaking to each other. It's time, perhaps, for the central government to intervene, the central leadership of the BJP to intervene, because it's ridiculous if people from one state cannot cross into another in the same country, fearing what will happen. Law and order is under the state governments. Both are ruled by your party.
I think this has not only gone on since 1 month. This is a long-standing dispute between the two states. And this is a dispute which really, the whole genesis is for the State Reorganization Act of 1956, where all the states were really divided on a linguistic basis.
Yes, ma'am, but I'm talking about the current. I'm talking about the current flux.
I'm just giving a perspective. If I'm not allowed to give a perspective, there's no point having me over here. So the point here is that this issue has been, a point of dispute between the two states, and there was a committee which was actually formed. This dispute at this point of time is sub judice, and it is before the Supreme Court. Mr. Fadnavis has said, and I will reiterate what he has said, that we at this point of time need to wait for the Supreme Court decision. We at this point of time need to show some patience, show some sort of restraint, and not really, we as a country, we are free to move from one state to the other. And it's unfortunate if this border road dispute is happening. So I think some restraint at this point of time needs to be shown. He has spoken to the Honorable Minister, Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah. The winter session is now, in progress. So I'm sure there will be some discussion over this issue. And let the Supreme Court decide. The moment the Supreme Court decides, I'm sure there will be a peaceful and a democratic resolution to this process. In the meanwhile, whatever law and order situation needs to be taken care of will be taken care of.
No.
And this dispute will be soon brought to a peaceful end.
When? And why has it gone on for so long?
Soon.
I'm glad you've given the perspective, but we've been talking about that perspective for about 10 minutes before we had you on. So yes, it is a 1956 issue. It keeps flaring up. But you have an advantage over here, where
Surely,
you have governments ruled by the same party.
By BJP,
where you have governments ruled by the same party.
Absolutely,
it shouldn't be going on and on.
And hence,
we ran. If you can just give me a second, Aarti Sathe. If I can just make my point, and then you can respond in complete peace. We played out a live report a few minutes ago from the Kolhapur bus stand, where buses have not been able to ply into Karnataka, where now you have, taxi cabs coming in and taking passengers, obviously must be at a higher rate. Look at the trouble to people. Why should people in this country feel fearful about what the number on their car plate is and be fearful of attacks?
Rightly so. They should not feel fearful of any of the attacks, which I just said some time back, and hence some sort of restraint from both sides need to be shown.
Absolutely.
But for a matter which is sub judice, for a matter which the Supreme Court today is seized of, the legalities whereof the Supreme Court will decide, will deliberate on the claims of both the states. Ultimately, one will have to deliberate on the claims of both the states. The Kaveri dispute is going on for years together. It's not something where border disputes are not the first time which have cropped up in this country. So really to say that why is it going on for 1 month? It's going on for
No, I'm talking about the violence. Once again, allow me to distinguish. I'm talking about the violence, not the dispute in law.
Violence has happened in the past. As far as violence is concerned, law and order will be implemented. There is police force being implemented.
Kalapa, please respond to this. It's happened in the past. It's happened in the past, says Aarti Sathe. Yes, Brijesh Kalapa.
No, she's completely wrong. I don't think she knows anything about what has happened here. Violence has never happened. It's the first time. This kind of state-sponsored
Mr. Kalapa, give your response. You don't have to be condescending, sir. Let her. You give your response. Yes.
No, I'm saying that there has been never violence. Where is the point of saying there has been violence earlier? This is the first time there is violence.
I said in the context of other disputes. I said in the context of other disputes. If you don't listen to the debate properly, it's not my fault, Mr. Kalapa.
Okay, 1 minute. Let him respond. Yes, Mr. Kalapa.
See, first is that there has never been violence of this nature, right? There may have been some minor instances of violence. I don't know what she's speaking about. I have no idea. But I'm saying of this nature, where this is completely state-sponsored. And these are so close to elections. 1. Two is that this is a constitutional issue, matters before the Supreme Court. Who are these states going to take guns and shoot each other? We have to shoot each other in arguments. Where's the question of, one state speaking against another, one chief minister speaking against another chief minister? These arguments are to be addressed to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court is to deliver a decision. What is all this going to lead to? Why is one chief minister from one political party speaking to his counterpart from the same political party? Is this not clear that this is all clearly a staged drama?
Which stage drama, Mr. Kalappa? Who are you? Where are you placing the blame?
No, it's certainly a staged drama between the two chief ministers.
Staged drama. Okay. The fact of the matter is, this is one country. And look at it in this context. The states of Maharashtra and Karnataka have the beautiful cities of Mumbai and Bengaluru. Can you get more diverse and cosmopolitan and varied in languages spoken and in fact nationalities than these two cities? What are we talking about, Madhavan? Why is that not relevant over here?
Not only it is what you were saying is relevant, Tamanna. I want to add one more point. When there were riots in UP, people who damaged property have been slapped with all sorts of cases.
Right.
Okay. So why should BJP, which is also ruling over UP, Karnataka and Maharashtra, use different yardsticks? It should actually crack down on anybody who disrupts normal public life.
We are going to
Absolutely. Aarti Sathe, what is your response to that?
Totally.
Where is the crackdown?
We are totally going to see what Mr. Fadnavis has said very clearly, very categorically, that those buses which were stopped in Karnataka, insofar as the buses of Maharashtra were concerned, and whatever, stone pelting or whatever may have happened, then action should be taken. He has told Mr. Bomai that action will be taken. What has happened today in Maharashtra, we will investigate, and if action needs to be taken, we will take action. We have never ever said that the rule of law should not play out. In fact, we've always
No, you don't have to say it anymore. It has to be displayed. It has to be displayed quickly.
That's why I'm saying repeatedly that wait for Supreme Court. Wait for Supreme Court.
Ma'am, please don't conflate the two. What is happening in Supreme Court is separate. That may go on for the next several years.
And hence
we don't know. That is separate. That is separate. Violence is separate. You have been conflating it from the word go. They are two separate issues.
Has been imposed.
Okay.
144 has been imposed. State polices have been deployed.
This needs to be nipped in the bud. This needs to be nipped in the bud. Quicker, the better. I'm going to have to wrap this here, but I want to thank all of you for joining us on this discussion as we turn